All right, guys, welcome back to the Independent Investor Channel. This is one of the coolest lessons that I have offered on the channel, but I haven't offered it directly to my subscriber base. In over 300 videos, this was a collaboration that I did a couple years back, and I offered it for Ryan Scribner's channel. I'm going to offer it to my subscriber base now. This was the very first lesson that I learned when I was 15 years old, and this phenomenon just blew my mind. So if there's one investor out there that doesn't understand the rule of 72 and how you can use this very, very simple equation to ask yourself one very simple question. When can I expect that my money is going to double? And it's relative for all amounts. If you have $1,000, what's the amount of time that I can expect to pass before that $1,000 turns into $2,000? You can do this with any amount of money, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 plus. It does not matter the amount of money that we're talking about. What this can really help with a new investor specifically, and seasoned investors, quite frankly, is to help keep you grounded and be realistic when you're looking at your accounts every single day and you're expecting to see a drastic change in those dollars. Those dollars are working for you no matter what, and the rule of 72 can really give you a realistic expectation of when your money is expected to double, given an expected anticipated rate of return. Now, most of us in the investing world that have been doing this a long time and reviewing mutual fund rates of return up over 10, 11, 12%, taking on a little bit more expense to own those products, as opposed to a passive ETF. We talk about those all the time from the Vanguard's product suite of investment products that they offer, certainly with a lower expense ratio built to track the market. This will allow you to really key in on the year-over-year rate of return. And if you look at what the S&P has returned in the VOO, for example, looking at about 12, 13, 14% year in, year out since inception. I think the VTI is around 7%, 8%. For the total stock market, and so on down the line. You can look at this for any fund, whether it be bond ETFs, whether it be specialty ETFs, especially off of the Vanguard's website. But this year-over-year return can be used to plug into this equation. And really the equation breaks down like this, and I'm going to try to throw some graphics up on the screen to really kind of display how you can commit this very simple equation for yourself, and you can actually start to understand, given any interest rate, how much time that it will take for any type of investment to double. And the first one is kind of right in that sweet spot that we're all looking to achieve. And 8% year over year is usually where I end up defaulting to, okay? 8% is a good conservative year over year rate of return. Some will agree, some will disagree, but this is a good happy medium. This is kind of why we invest, is to seek out this opportunity to get a positive interest rate, which in turn gives our money the best chance of doubling over time. So the very simple equation is 72 divided by 8 equals 9. So given any amount of money, whether it be if you're sitting on $10,000 and you've got that product makeup in your portfolio driven toward getting about an 8% portfolio rate of return, you can expect that that portfolio is going to double after 9 years. It's very, very simple. Very, very cool. Because a lot of people, I think, when they set sail on this investing journey, they're setting sail to a port of nowhere. They don't know where it's going to end up. And if you can kind of game it out a little bit and look at your anticipated rate of return or expected rate of return. Again, this is an average over time. This is all we have. It does not account for volatility, 20% drawdowns during a year. This is an average rate of return. So what it's going to require the investor to do is to make sure that they're staying steadfast on their program in understanding that the stock market historically over time provides the investor the best chance of success in realizing that rate of return that we seek out and really try to pursue in our investing lives. We really try to pursue that, and we try to pursue that insofar as putting those assets into an account that's going to give us the best chance of realizing that full 8% year over year, right? And not give it away to fees, okay? And a lot of the products that we push out there, the Vanguard products, for example, offers that diversified low cost to ownership to give you the best chance of realizing that real 8% rate of return. And that way we can kind of forecast when our money will double. And the equation works that way as we work it forward. If you throw in a 9% rate of return, it drops 1 year off of the 8% rate of return. So if we take 72 and divide it by 9, it's only going to take 8 years for your money to double. And you can start to think to yourself, okay, well, this is awesome. If Ryan's saying that I can get an 8% rate of return and it'll take 9 years for my money to double, but if I can maybe get 9%, it's only going to take 8 years to double. Wonder what will happen at 10% rate of return, which is also realistic, but I always try to default to the most probable outcome when we're talking about mathematics and the probability of a certain outcome. We always want to try to default to the most probable outcome, and that's why we go with 8%, but that doesn't preclude us from asking the question, what if, okay? That's part of the fun of this exercise, is understanding that if you take and you get a rate of return of 10% in your portfolio year over year, you can expect that your money will double in 7.2 years. So you can kind of see there, you can almost knock off 2 years of your doubling cycle by just getting those extra 2 basis points in this equation for your rate of return. And it can also be used on the flip side, okay? The 8, 9, and 10% anticipated rate of return I just used as an example of what we can shoot for in an equities portfolio. You can run the same game with the bond or the fixed income aspect of your portfolio. So obviously less rate of return is going to render more years to double those investments. However, the bond aspect of your portfolio, you're taking on a significantly less level of risk, okay? So this will really allow you to compare your equities to your bond portfolio and say, you know what, if I'm doing this in 80% of my portfolio, how much could the other 20% render me given a certain interest rate? So we use the same equation, the rule of 72. And again, I contend if there's one person that watches this video and understands the rule of 72 the way I did when I was 15 years old, we're better for it. I think it's a lot of fun to run these calculations through this deliberation to understand when your money could double. It's better than not knowing, right? So we start with a rate of return of 5% and we take 72 and divide it by 5. That gives us 14.4 years in that equation. So with a given rate of return taking on significantly less risk, we can anticipate. Now, a lot of people are putting a lot more money into bonds right now, anticipating that if the market is subject to a big drawdown, that those dollars are going to still maybe perform a little bit better in a down market. So fixed income is actually looking pretty attractive right here. But 14.4 years, if you had, you know, a $10,000 aspect of your portfolio, you guys know I've got about $25,000 right now in the fixed income. I could anticipate that in 14.4 years at a 5% rate of return, that $25,000 will now be worth $50,000. It will have doubled. Now, if I can eke out one extra basis point of interest year after year, right? We take 72 and we divide it by 6, and we've got 12 years, okay? So if I'm able to perform a little bit better on my fixed income portfolio, I can say, you know, I'm 42 now, and at 54, I'm gonna have my money doubled. So it's kind of cool to say, wow, what could I do with my money now to make sure that my doubling effect is maximized? Could I dollar cost average that? Yes. Could I fund that with lump sum payments to make sure that my investment will have a better chance of meeting or even exceeding that doubling cycle? Yes, you can. The rule of 72 is not hard and fast. It just gives the investor an idea or a benchmark of what to expect given a rate of return or an anticipated rate of return in the equation. And the last one on the bond side, so we've done 5%, 6%. Of course, we'll do 7%, which a lot of portfolio investors out there will contend is also a nice conservative rate of return to run through this calculator. We do so, it puts us just over 10 years for any doubling cycle. So when we're throwing out those rates of return, okay, and we talk about 7 to 8% anticipated rate of return, you should actually look at that now a little bit different now that you understand the rule of 72, and not to just discount that and say, 7% is not that big of a deal. Hold on a second. Given a conservative rate of return, you can figure how much impact that will have on your money in any given amount of time, which will tell you when your money will actually double in time. Guys, if you enjoy the message coming through the Independent Investor channel, hit the subscribe button for us, man. Join the community of independent investors. We'd love to have you. Hit the notification bell so you're notified of future uploads that I put onto YouTube. Leave your comments. Let me know if you understood the rule of 72 before this lesson. Maybe we helped you understand it a little bit better. That's what we're aiming to do. Share the message with anybody out there that you know can benefit from this short educational video on entry-level investment techniques. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video, and good luck in your investment future.